Well, hello and welcome everybody. We are here for, if you can believe it, the final week of season 2, 21-22 of the ZRL. That is race 8. I'm Kate Bates, joined by the one and only Dave Towle. And Dave, it has been a massive couple of weeks in Zwift racing, from elite down to community level, with the World Tournament of the WTRL last week, World Championships on the weekend. But I reckon this might be the most exciting for us. We have been here for the whole season, and there's still some really close races with results not being finalised until we see what happens out on course now.
Yeah, Kate, it is always great to join you. This is my favorite team and really my favorite hour of the week. So we'll get right down to brass tacks. It's a challenging course, 43 kilometers of racing. I do want to congratulate you on your directorial debut with Australia, and a great ride by the men and the women there. And congratulations on your Esports World Championships. It's nice to see Jay Vine picking that up for Australia. So that being said, this has been absolutely crazy. And the racing today, rugged, Kate. I'm sure you started off that way in APAC. Anna Russell sprinted to third place in her race that just wrapped up about an hour ago with her Riot team. As that was one of the races, Kate, that was already a season and a division that was pretty decided, but that's not the case everywhere around the globe. We've seen some heated battles today. For the women, it's 3 teams. Well, actually, it's a little bit different, isn't it, when we get to the West? Because we won't have the same situation where we've got the A's that are trying to get up into Premier, but we do have a very competitive B women's field out here, and they'll be looking to have at it one final time.
Absolutely. There are 7 sprints out there today. I'm glad to hear that Anna came third. She was kind of the thought that it could be an easy day in the saddle until we watched what happened in APAC, and there were bodies flying left, right and centre
Yeah.
because certainly with that many sprints, and actually not really any flat sections. It's kind of all up or down, the cobbles. There's a lot out there. Anna talked us through a little bit of the tactics. So I think we'll roll that, if we can, production team, to take a look at her thoughts ahead of this week's course.
Hey everyone, and welcome to race 8. So exciting, the last race of the season, discounting the playoffs. Hopefully your team is making the playoffs, but last race of the regular season. Very exciting on Lutece Express. I hope you're more excited than nervous as you sit here for session 8 of In the Pens, a new kind of thing we're trying out. Last week we talked about bike choice, but it's pretty easy on this one. Just go aero as, so disc wheel, Specialized Venge, something like that. Tron, if you don't have a disc wheel, but yeah, bike choice is easy. This week, we've got a very exciting one because this is probably one of the best times I've seen the use of a power-up on a course. And in my knowledge, it's the only time you can use a triple power-up on this course. What does a triple power-up mean? First off, the power-ups for this one: Steamroller, Feather, and Aero. Now, Feather will probably be useless with this, but let me describe how it works. And I've actually got my whiteboard out. So as you can see here, this is a kind of drawing of the course here. You've got the first sprint, because we're doing this reverse. You go around the Arc de Triomphe, you've got that first sprint there. Drop a power-up before that sprint. Pick up another one while that power-up's still being dropped to carry you through to the lap banner. Then you'll get a new power-up after that lap banner. Big tick of approval there. That is because you now have run 3 power-ups in a row. I have seen the best tactics here played when someone did this and got away on a solo attack to take it away by the end. They'd already gained about 30 seconds by the time they dropped that third power-up. So fingers crossed you get a steamroller, drop it before that first sprint. You'll pick up another as that power-up is still running its course. Then you'll have that power-up. Then you'll get another at the next banner to run through again. So triple power-up, pray for the steamrollers. Feathers will be useless. Good luck. Have a great race.
Well, I think she put her money where her mouth was there, Dave, based
Yes,
on the
she
fact
did.
she got this morning. We'll go down and have a look at the women's sprint replay because they are already out on course. And we do know through Zwift Insider that this week, the first across the line in the intermediate sprints is actually the lion's share of the points. So, look, this is pretty heated already, Dave.
Yeah, here we go. Actually picking it up. This is live action as it's going to be Ashley Yip here for DDC Zena. They've had such a phenomenal season, but it's going to be Joy Connolly from ATP coming over the top, and I think Joy's going to pick that one up. So I'm not sure if this is a replay or live action that we're looking at, but either way, it's going to be like this all day long. Aggressive sprinting, and expect to see splits happening, to be honest, Kate, right after some of these sprints. There's a lot of the orange and blue of DDC right in the middle of our screen right now. Let's see what's going on here. Again, early going, 43K. It's 6 laps out here. And I mean,
So
just
we are
the sprinting. Go ahead, Kate.
I was going to say we're going to live action here, Dave, but gee, they
There we
have
go.
really improved their sprinting throughout the season, haven't they? It's been, we've seen some riders step up that we haven't seen before. And if I learnt something about the weekend, we talked earlier about, what a tremendously successful weekend it was for Australia at the Esports Worlds. But something that really stood out to me was in APAC, Anna Russell and I were actually commentating on a number of the guys, Sam Hill, Ben Hill, Torben Partridge Madsen, who were the main events when it came to that men's race. But only last season we were commentating on them, in the community leagues. So we literally are watching world-class riders when we are commentating on these community leagues, and the level is very impressive. We'll take a look at the points and the standings. So a pretty clear lead here, Dave, for DDC Zena. They have been incredible all season. But if you cast your eye down to second, third, and fourth, a race is on absolutely for that second place on the podium for this season, depending on what happens tonight.
Yeah, that really could go any one of 3 different ways, to tell you the truth. I'm excited to watch how. So I hate to say it. We've seen this today, Kate, but I'm just going to take Dutch Diesel Cycling Zena and throw them in the bin, throw them out, because I know that they're dominant. They've had an incredible season, but they're not going to be a big part of the storyline for me here today because I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on ATP Racing. They don't mind. Let's give a shout out to these ladies. They've been incredible. Andy Smith, Daniela Torelli, Janelle Yila, and Pat Murray. And I have a feeling I am missing, actually, Dutch Diesel. I have 2 different Dutch Diesel listings here because I've also got Gail Matherly,
Ooh.
Jack Katz. Is summertime racing? No. Oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm looking at the B's and the A's. Excuse me, the B's and the C's together. That explains it. Andy Smith, Daniela Torelli, Janelle Yila, and Pat Murray. That is the team that we have out here for Dutch Diesel, and they've been incredible. But ATP Racing Vespid today. This is going to be Alice. These are very familiar names, Kate. Allison Grinnell, Hannah Stallkamp, Joy Connolly, who's already shown she's got good legs, Kat Salthouse, who's a one-woman wrecking crew, and Sarah Abernathy making up that ATP Racing team. So we'll talk more about the women. We got the guys about 3 minutes from launching. So, Kate, explain to me why some of the guys are facing backwards. Nathan says he's never seen this before.
I think because it's the last week of the season and they would actually rather ride in the other direction than have to sprint 7 times around this course is what I'm thinking.
That's a good
but no, isn't
guess.
that just a quirk? I like that.
I feel like it's the last day of school, and you know how some kids show up wearing their clothes backwards or something? They're just trying to be a little bit weird.
Yes. Well,
right?
in Australia, we have a special word for that. It's called Muck-up Day. It's the
That's
last day of
exactly it.
school. And
Right.
they do things like in the agricultural schools. And I might need some Googling help on this in the background, but apparently cows can only walk upstairs and not downstairs. And so at some of the schools, they take the cows up to the top of the school building because they can't get them back down or something like that. Anyway, they get creative with muck-up days in Australia. So if riding backwards in the pen is the worst that they do, then I fully support that.
I would agree. Let's leave the cows alone, please. I want to reach out to hold off the PETA people from coming after us, Kate. We are not advising you take cows upstairs. I had no
No.
idea about that. So times have changed, obviously. They used to, cows have been a part of pranks around where I live for a long time. They call it cow tipping. I don't know. I don't think they really
Yes,
do that
I've
as
heard
much
of that.
anymore.
Yes, yes.
Also, please don't do that. Right. Leave the cows alone, everybody. Um,
Leave the cows alone, please.
yeah, we,
We would
yeah,
be
we,
much happy with that. Let's look at these segment points quickly, Dave, before they flash off our screen. Keskinen is on the top there, and I think you made a point with DDC because to see Yip only sitting in third is unusual, and Jeanette Yiller in fifth. That does show that there's a little bit of gusto amongst the others. Joy Connolly, never surprising to see her up there and first across line, just not fastest through segment. And the next sprint is starting now, Dave. So they're back in
here
it very
goes.
quickly.
Well timed. It's right as you say that. You see DDC just launching. That's Daniela Torelli hitting out right now. And Torelli, like a rocket ship, is going to lead this one out. This is going to be, no question, as she goes straight through. Do they go 1, 2? Nope, that's going to be Joy Connolly coming through for second there. Ashley Yip for third. So DDC, another display. And again, this is why I'm calling them the outlier here, because what we're going to be looking at closely are the points happening behind them, because there's 3 teams that are fighting for second place today, Kate. And I have a feeling this is going to be a real battle throughout the day as we race here on Champs-Élysées. As this is one of the most iconic boulevards in the world. Actually, it is the most iconic boulevard in the world as they make their way up to the Arc de Triomphe. As a course that, Kate, if I'd asked a 20-year-old Kate before you became a world traveler, was the Champs-Élysées flat, would you have said yes?
I would have said yes.
Me
I
too.
thought it was
100%.
dead flat.
All
I
day
did not
long.
realize it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would have thought it was completely flat as a pancake, but it is anything but that. It is really, I mean, today, Kate, we're doing 43 kilometers of racing. There's 515 meters of climbing out here. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's not insignificant. And well, let's talk about their power ups because we're seeing a lot of steamrollers get dropped, which is really significant because on this course, the steamroller helps with the rolling resistance, of course, so very helpful on the cobbles. Now, the men have just jumped on course, Dave. We've got them on the left of screen there, although that's my left, so perhaps on the right of screen, actually. And
No, it's
it
the
is
same.
left of screen. Look at that,
Yeah.
turning myself around. Now, they've got a sprint at the 2 kilometre mark already, so they really have to come into the pens warmed up already. Whatever happened to our backwards riders? Let's see if they're managed to
They're
spin
going
themselves around in
forwards.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Nathan
this
just
is
confirmed they're going forwards. Yeah.
excellent. This is a pretty rude way to start the race. Let's take a quick look. Again, another very, very tight competition. Dirty Rascals ride and OMG, they killed Kenny. Whoever wins today between those two will actually take out the overall. So very, very significant race on the cards today for them. So they're the ones that we need to keep an eye on.
There's one spot, Kate, in the playoffs available for this group, and it's going to be one of those 2 teams, Dirty Rascals Riot or Oh My God, They Killed Kenny, that will walk away with that and having punched their ticket into what's going to be quite a playoffs. There's a team time trial and one more points race if you make it into that elite group. It is really hard to pick favorites, isn't it? We had a nice chance to celebrate some of the Dirty Rascals Riot riders as well, as we've all season long been really enjoying this battle that they've had with Oh My God, They Killed Kenny. And you can see the familiar orange, white, and black jersey of the OMG They Killed Kenny team. And it looks like we're starting our first sprint of the day. Here we go, as that's going to be Flanagan, the Riot rider, who's been active here in the early going. And he has hit out with authority, Kate Bates, like a rocket ship, but they're going to swarm him.
Woo!
Looks like it's going to be T-Bone and B. Diddy. Brian Diddy. Holy cow. Brian Diddy is a monster.
Wow.
Out here once again, Kate. That guy, what a legend Diddy is.
Wow, that was a big sprint too.
Wow.
And I did not think that they were going to get over the top like they did there.
Either.
the numbers, I was seeing some 12, 13 watts per kg easily there. They're only a couple of kilometres in. Can you imagine how much their lungs are burning at this point? Let's take a look at the replay because you almost just couldn't. This is a great angle where we can see where the hit out happens from Flanagan. He's into the orange. Sweet responds. Look at how high he goes, 13.9
I thought Michael had
watts
it.
per kg. But it's short-lived, unfortunately. All that Sweet did was manage to drag the rest up for T-Bone to go. I thought T-Bone couldn't get rolled, but Brian Diddy, geez, he came flying over the top, didn't he? He just had the momentum.
He's a dream crusher, Brian Diddy. I mean, I'd have to say one more sprints out here. This guy, so many riders have thought they had it, and then Diddy shows up and ruins their day. So, dark cloud, Brian Diddy. All right, so it's good. Now, who is T-Bone, Kate? Who's T-Bone?
I don't even know. I mean, I think I definitely would have discussed T-Bone if I had have noticed that name too often before. But I respect that they come out of nowhere.
So
who is T-Bone?
Is it possibly is it Dan Pedrosa? Would Dan's name is here? Okay, so it's not Dan. I guess this is going to be I don't want to force people to listen to me do the process of elimination here, but I don't see Philippe Nystrom's name. But
maybe Alistair Turner? Could it be Turner?
That's the best guess. That's actually Kate.
That's
nice
my
professional guess. There's almost no way that Philippe Nystrom would call himself T-Bone. Yeah. So right, Nathan's so Nathan Guerra, our producer,
unfortunately,
Kate,
our viewers can't hear you. Yes, I was going to say that, Dave. You go.
Well, it's funny. Sometimes I wish Nathan didn't produce because we could do a 3-person booth and it would be even more fun with him talking because there's always unbelievably funny stuff. Nathan is actually 2 times funnier when he's not on the air, just talking to us. It's truly what an honor, Kate. I was definitely reflecting back. It's exactly a year or 2 years ago that I first worked with Nathan. And it's just been so much fun over the last 2 years. I'm sure just like yourself, we've learned a lot about how esports work and how broadcast works. And I have to say that Anna Russell makes me look pretty bad with the amount that she has learned and picked up. She's become like a mini Nathan. You know what I mean?
She has. Yes, a protege.
The protege, right. So another sprint coming up here in less than 1K. So we're getting pretty close to that. These laps, it's 6 of them that we're doing out here. And it's going to be a pretty big group contesting this.
Yeah. It is. Now, the one thing I want to talk about is that it's quite a unique course insofar as if they manage them well with the dropping of power-ups, you can almost take 3 power-ups on the trot and essentially a minute and a half worth of power-ups if you got the steamroller each time, for example, by dropping them before the banner and then you get your new one. Once your power-up runs out, you drop that and that takes you to the next banner. So if you're quite strategic about it, you can get a little bit of relief. Murchison is on the march now for West Coast Coalition. They are absolutely motivated today because they have to better ATP Racing Vespid to try and get on the top of that table to come in behind DDC. This is a move that we have seen a lot today. Nathan is just pointing that out in the background. We actually saw it nearly successful to the very end at APAC in the men's and the women's. Both of them gave it a stab. So I think it's a legitimate tactic for sure. This is actually opening up a bit, but it is still 30K left to race. So it's pretty early days. And Murchison, she's probably looking around going, bugger, I thought somebody might come with me. But, let's see how long she can hold off. Yeah.
Well, it actually, it's I've seen this work more often than it hasn't out here. You make a commitment, you have to be strong enough to back it up. But to be honest, we watched Wouter Zwart do it in the men's race a little bit earlier. He extended out to a 13-second advantage, and actually your name came up at that point, Kate, because I was saying, and it worked out that way, as Kate Bates would say, don't do more than you need to. And Wouter did a little more than he
No.
needed to. We've seen a few riders that have done exactly this to great effect out here. So that's the women's race that we're talking about. And I think Murchison's going to be good. Although look at this coming up right behind her as we split the screens now, as it looks like she's got one rider hot on her heels, Joy Connolly. That's young Nickel, actually, that's looking like she's going to make the catch. Connolly trying to come across, but I don't think Connolly's going to make it. But young Nickel is just going to make contact here but either way, whether it's 10 points or 9 points, this is still a successful play for Murchison here.
It absolutely is. And I really think that having young Nickel there makes a huge difference. It is very hard to go solo for long periods on courses like this because the bunch can just come so quickly. But if there is strength in numbers. Now, here is the kicker, though. We get a power-up drop from Murchison, so she flies past young Nickel. That's a bit offensive, but great
Love it.
from her. Now, the question is, Joy Connolly, she just gets picked for the points by Keskinen. But will they keep going with it? Because if they sit up and pause, Murchison may increase this gap again. But here is the chance for them to just duck back on and not rest. I think that's what's going to happen.
Kate, please tell me that you weren't that sprinter that would sit in the group and say, hey, I promise I won't sprint if you don't drop me before the finish.
Oh, God, no. I thought, good luck getting rid of me.
Exactly, right? So the gamesmanship is what I'm talking about there for sure, because that was an impressive way to rally. Rather than settle for second, Murchison knew that she had that power up, and that's exactly how you play the game. Well done there. Going to jump in now with the guys.
That was very well done.
Yeah. I loved it. So, okay, back in with the guys, Kate. OTR Rush here. Looks like they've got something up their sleeve. There's a bonus coming up now.
Oh, yeah. It's so many sprints through this one. 8.5K is their next sprint. So that's coming around just around the corner. But then the next one is 14.6, then 21.2. There really is no rest for the wicked at all. Not to call you wicked, fellas, but, if the label fits. But Hill and Bishop are both names that we've seen quite a lot of. And as teammates, this is actually a little bit dangerous. I mean, if I were the other teams, I would keep going through this sprint to make sure they catch back on, because I don't think Hill and Bishop were just going for those points. They're pushing for a break here.
Wow. And, I have to say that it's been so much attrition today, Kate, rather than breakaways staying away. Yeah, breaks have gone up the road, but that's really just to gobble up some points like Pac-Man and then come back into the peloton. Every time you come back to the peloton, it seems to be a little bit smaller. And we got another moment here. They are really pushing. Look how well positioned Brian Diddy is for the Friday Criterium team. He's just right. Not panicking, sitting near the front, not with his nose in the wind, but able to cover things that go. That's some solid riding right there.
They've learned a lot this
guy
season
really knows what he's doing.
Yeah, about tactics, but also about the other teams. And we're seeing more and more that they're not just racing. They're not just coming up with a plan and racing to that plan no matter what. They're actually getting a lot more agile and learning what their fellow riders do. That's always a little bit of a kicker in the new season when teams have moved around a little bit and you have a slightly different group of athletes when you've just gotten to know some really well and then it all changes up on you. I suppose that keeps it interesting. But we have seen some pretty fun and interesting tactics over this season. And the last time we were in London, actually, we saw some really brave tactics, if you remember, Dave. It's almost like they were listening to us. We said, wouldn't it be cool to see this? And then, boom, Bob's your uncle. We would see that on the next lap. I think on this kind of course, they will fairly quickly, in my opinion, see that to make any kind of break stick, there's very few places on the course you can attack. We've seen attacks on that part of the course already, so that will be highly monitored. I think in between, they're going to do exactly what they're doing now, which is just a big old Zwift blob, and everybody kind of regain their breath for that next one. Of course, the next sprint is already in 4 kilometres time at 14.1k, so it's really not a lot of time to try and attack and then recover if that doesn't work. And also, Dave, I want to put a shout out to all of our riders who have got those Ukrainian flags up. I just think it's a really great show of solidarity from our Zwift community. We saw it a lot in APAC too, so I like that. I like what community does when they get together.
You and I, Kate, rarely disagree. Certainly on the important stuff we don't. And that would be the important stuff. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought Australia had that heart, a country, New Zealand too, to be fair. Just something about a little bit extra down there. And I think Ukraine has shown us more than just a little bit extra. That's for sure. So, yeah, keep it up, everybody, with that. That's what community is all about, solidarity, and hopefully this world will be able to fix some things out. So, all right, going back to the action now. So I'm going to say that these bonus structures, and I got to give our man Charlie Eisendorf a ton of credit for the way that they've structured this league. Martin and Charlie and that team that have worked on the way it all works here. What has happened is these points have been distributed so well through the races that it has made for ideal racing. But always, Kate, someone wants to cut against the grain, and this is going to be OTR and Welton right now, who's going to make a run at it. We got a guy taking a runner out here, and this is Greg Welton that we're looking at.
It's time for that. It's the time of night for Dave's chamomile tea. Where is our chamomile tea for Dave Towle? He's been at this all day. His voice is sounding just about how Welton's legs would be feeling after that little effort.
Oh, no.
Clapping.
I hope his legs are better. Yeah.
It did not, unfortunately, take him too far, but what it definitely has done is broken up the rhythm of the bunch. We were just talking about how they were just sitting and waiting. Maybe they heard me and were like, I don't think so, Kate. We're going to make this more exciting. So thank you. Now, we've got a couple of second gaps opening up here with 6 riders. I think the question is what's the composition of that 6? Let's take a look at that, because that might determine who will and won't chase based on others. But Riot do not like it. They will have to chase this, Dave.
Yeah, and it looks like that they've activated. They've gone into warp 9 full chase mode right now. Oh my God, Kenny's going to try to look. See, now this is smart. See what they're doing here, Kate? So another split is happening, but what Riot is doing is bringing 2 oh my God, they killed Kenny riders up to a 6-rider group, which will give them 3 in a, let's see, it'll make it 10 riders with oh my God, they killed Kenny having 3. So that actually kind of wasn't exactly ideal. But Brian Diddy will reset everything here. I have a feeling.
Kind of. I just have to giggle. Kind of wasn't exactly ideal. I like that. I think that is nice. That is like a technical description that is more like me than yourself, Dave. I like that. They are certainly not just laying down and letting this happen, though. Look at the chase that is continuing. But this 6 are determined to make them work for it. I think that can be a really defining moment in these races too, because sometimes what you might think rather incidental mid-race chases, once they do then get out of the seat and try and hit it later on, they realise they've probably expended a little bit more energy than they needed to. Now, the fact that first intermediate sprint was 2 kilometres in means that from a physiological perspective, Dave, if they weren't warmed up, that kind of effort that early does so much damage. It just takes you beyond a point. Like, there's a reason that you need to warm up gently and not just go out and do a straight up effort. You tend not to be able to recover from that. So some of the smart riders will have had a decent ride before and come to the line with a high heart rate. So they always say you come to a time trial line always with a high heart rate. Otherwise, you'll just get out on course and feel, well, to be succinct, crap. You'll feel totally crap. I can't think of another word right now. It's been raining
maybe,
too
but
much
yeah.
for my mind. Yeah. But so we will have some riders who did warm up and others who didn't necessarily. Now, they have been caught, but Dave, I don't know that that's the last of it we'll see, because even though we commented that perhaps they would roll around and not needlessly attack, I think they've just proven us wrong.
Well, in a break like that, though, so what I love is, Kate, that was a real effort, right? They made a run at it. But what I learned now is it's even harder than I might have thought to get a breakaway to stick. All that effort, and it comes to naught. And that's bike racing, isn't it? Because to be fair, the thing was, yeah, well, there's a lot of ingredients that you need to bake that cake that is a breakaway. And that one just it didn't have enough sugar, I guess. But let's go back now and pick up the front of the race as it's a Grupo Compacto. Everyone all together for the men. On the women's side of things, they are exactly at the halfway point of this race. So another sprint coming up here now. See the steamroller that turns the cobbles into tarmac. And a lot of them being thrown up right now. Here we go. It's going to be LeBlanc from the coalition leading it out. She hits the gas. The Canadian is giving her.
Ooh, but
Laura
then she
Thompson.
just runs out of juice. Connolly on the move. Gee, that timing was perfection, because Leah
Woo!
Thompson has higher watts, but Connolly, she's not going to take that quite
La
easily.
machine.
Keskinen, I feel as though her timing was a bit off because her numbers were there. Thompson gave it her best, but it was just the jump that Connolly got on that. Now, Danny Torelli is just, it's probably not the nicest word, but it's the one that we in Australia use to describe it. It's like when someone is snivelling and getting points, where they're very smart. They're just sitting in and bit by bit accruing all these points, but you don't necessarily see them
Kind of.
smashing it at the front.
Like,
That's kind of,
no,
yeah.
like, no, I completely agree. It's interesting. Just always there, picking up the crumbs, little extra there. I'll grab it, but not putting her head up above the corn, right? You just
Yes,
sort of never
yes,
break.
exactly.
That's, and oftentimes, boy, I mean, how many times back in the day when you were racing in the criteriums, Kate, was you wouldn't hear your name once because you didn't ever put your nose in the wind because there was no reason to. But when the final
Yeah,
came, you were there sprinting, right? And it's because
yeah.
you were smart. And that's such a big part of this sport is about learning how to not show off when you feel strong and keep it cool.
Exactly,
And,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, don't
I
be
mean, said with
flashy.
all
Don't
due
be
respect, I think there's a lot of riders who have a little bit of ego, and I don't mean that as a slight at all. I might say that that is
no, I
part
get
of,
it. I
it's an
get it.
attribute that makes them really successful, actually. But you do need to, like the number of times where the only thing you hear on the radio in a race was be patient. That's it. Because you know what to do, but the team director just has to, in a way, save you from yourself. Like, has to constantly remind you that you need to be patient, because you've got the legs, but if you don't have the patience, it's for nothing.
Can I tell you, especially with the women racing right in front of us here, and this is being Zwift community, and community underline that or put it in capitals and then underline it. Los Aldegeest is as community as they get.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
she also was as patient as they doing exactly what you said. And
Yeah.
she won every time by being not flashy, not trying to flex on people, just trying to do everything it takes to win the bike race, which a lot of time was keeping your head down. And man, am I
Yeah.
impressed by her.
Yeah. It's beautiful to watch when people race like that, because it just, they had a bit of confidence. Now let's take a look at what happened in the men's sprint. Across these two leagues, we've got 14 sprints, so a lot going on. Sweet again, very impressive with the move.
Michael. So it's going to, sorry there, Kate. So Diddy's going to pick that one up as I think I might have just lost Kate's audio. So I'm going to carry
No,
for a
I'm here,
second.
Dave. I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kate.
Yep.
My bad. So Diddy picks that one up, it looks like.
That was, geez, Diddy is he's racing exceptionally well, but we're seeing a lot of these names duck up, and I just want to highlight that we haven't seen a lot of Dan Pedrosa, but given what he's done in earlier weeks, I feel like he may just be saving himself for the back end where he could be very dangerous. Because again, look at this. We haven't barely said his name. He hasn't been the first across the line in any of these sprints, but he's sitting in second there. Diddy, we've seen how much energy he has expended. Now he's got the lion's share of the points as a result, but Pedrosa has kind of been picking up those breadcrumbs along the way and sprinting himself into second place at the moment. Nordstrom there, Hill, Fraser. I like Travis Fraser. He's a great racer, and we haven't mentioned his name once. So for him to be sitting in fifth again, that's really efficient riding from him.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's this has been quite a group all season long. While we have a second, I definitely want to thank the racers for the show that they've put on for us. It's been more than enjoyable to. I mean, it's interesting. You think, and I know my voice sometimes. Well, the excitement shows, right? Wouldn't be losing our voice if we didn't care, and
Yeah.
certainly. It's been amazing to watch the quality of racing. We can see that Joy Connolly is a rider. If I had to pick my 3 riders of the year, Kate, I think Joy's in that list for me from ATP here.
Well,
she's really stepped it up.
So Anna and I had this idea last night that we should, between the commentary team, be able to choose a dream team to race Premier League from community. So it should be the Zwift Community Live team in Prem League. And each of us, we could have 8 riders, so each of us would get 2 riders each between you and Nathan,
let Martin and
myself.
I think we should let the WTRL guys play too, right? So.
Oh yes, yes. Well, how many can we have in a team? I mean, perhaps we could have 2 teams between us. That could be a little bit of fun. But it makes you think when you are watching, who would your 2 be? Who would your 2 women be? And your 2 men, bearing in mind that we are looking across all of these different time zones. I'm only in APAC and America West, so they definitely get my favoritism and bias, I suppose, from that. You have a few more to choose from, Dave, so it would be a little bit tougher for you.
Well, I do. Since right now, if I hit the reset button here, the race is at 26K and 43K. So we have a moment to quickly share a story of a racer from our community, racing for the Wahoo Lacole team out of the Europe, Middle East, and Africa division, who was just accepted. There's actually 2 riders of note because Natalia Franco, the Colombian, and Maud Leroux from South Africa are both now riding in the UCI women's team that they have for developing nations. They bring them to Switzerland where they can live and are housed and be part of a continental women's team and race in Europe. So it's a huge stepping stone.
That's fantastic.
And those are both,
isn't it?
Those are 2 community women from our Zwift community, you know. And yeah, and Zwift did not hurt, believe me. It did not hurt them in that process. And I'm just so proud of those ladies. Hey, I should turn to look at this though. Yeah, over here we got Ivany ripping it up on the men's side of things as they've got 2 riders coming together, Harris and Ivany. TFC is the yellow jersey, the Obsque Finesse Wolf rider, Ivany, who's been really strong all year long. So is Harris. These 2 are dangerous now.
But Harris has been riding particularly well today. Ivany, we know, he's like one of the most consistent riders across all of the seasons that we've ever been commentating on and had him in. He's a very solid rider for a breakaway, but he's a damn solid rider for a sprint as well if they come down to it. Harris has been getting more and more active. I must say he has been doing a pretty good job of just the consistency. He's also a level 50 Zwifter, so he's been around enough to know what to do in this kind of situation. a pair is far more likely to succeed than an individual in a breakaway. But there is interest from the chase, Dave. They are coming up to a sprint, and that is definitely why so many sprints are on offer, that it is important. Harris goes early. Avani not responding, and the charge comes from B. Diddy. He is not leaving a single shred to the imagination with his sprinting here.
Alert.
And with the steamroller, what another big sprint from him.
Man, he is there every time it matters, Kate. And you can see how when they open the throttle up back in that peloton, they close down that gap very quickly. T-Bone from Oh My God, They Killed Kenny. Been a real animator out here today. And watch out for the splits. And, a lot of big chunks come off the back here, like a snake losing its tail. You see it at this point. You're the most exposed. It's not about breakaways, Kate. It really is about riders just hitting the wall at the back and then unable to close down gaps. And then a couple times that happens, and next thing you know, you're in a chase group.
Yeah, it's like an elastic band, isn't it? Like it stretches, but at some point it will actually snap. You do have to a degree, I think you can be a little bit lax with positioning in Zwift compared to in real life racing. And sometimes that causes some riders to kind of hang around at the back, especially if they're thinking, I'll wait for the sprint. I don't necessarily need to be right up the front and early. But what happens then, those little gaps do open up, and then you can find yourself in trouble where you didn't anticipate it. Now we're coming around for another sprint for the women here, Dave. I'm getting dizzy. They must be getting dizzy. Joy Connolly is at it again, but I think that she is just about to get swamped.
Yeah, is it called a carousel? Well, here we go. It's about to hit top speed, that's for sure. Barb Keskinen has been finally able to pick one up, as she has been right thereabouts on every sprint. And Barb nails this one. The harder it gets, the stronger Barb is. So Keskinen, the Canadian for Coalition in the blue jersey there, will score top points. It's going to be Joy Connolly in the pink for ATP coming through. Also contesting every sprint. I mean, it is the usual suspects out here, Kate. This is a moment.
Yeah, it is.
Look at the middle of the group.
This is what we were talking about, isn't it? Where those gaps open up, but these are the big opportunities as well for somebody who might have just been sitting an ice wheel and hanging through that sprint without actually going solo. This is their chance to go whack over the top and make a real impact and do a lot of damage. But this front group is a very elite group. Alison Grinnell, come on, girl, you can get back up there. I think that was possibly not amazing positioning from her, because she definitely has the legs and the nous to be able to stay in that front group. So they do exactly what we were saying, Dave. They need to watch their wheels at this point in the race, because everybody's getting pretty tired. And it's pretty easy to have a power outage. And I'm not talking about the trainer. I'm talking about your ticker. When it all gives up and you just can't really keep pedaling anymore.
You know what I think, Kate? That's funny. The best preparation possible for being an esports racer in the WTRL, ZRL would be being a former World Cup points race specialist. Because it's exactly that. It's a savage sprint every 5 minutes or so, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well,
right, and
Dave, you would laugh.
If you don't pay attention,
yeah. Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to talk over you there.
No, it's always me talking over you, Kate. I'm going to throw it back to you just on that point, though. I mean, this is so the best element of track racing to me has always been the excitement of the points race or the Madison, to tell you the truth. The Madison, though, I can't even keep up with what's going on, with everybody getting thrown in and out and who's leading and all that. But points race I can keep up with. And I think that this format for esports, we've talked about why this has been successful. And WTRL with the fastest through segment, keeping everybody in the mix and giving everybody something to race for throughout the day, even if you're a lap down. And we talked about how, sure, in real life that doesn't work, but here there's a real element of why that does work. And let's go back to the men, though, Kate. I'm going to throw it back to you. It's going to be Welton again off the front. Second
See,
time.
Greg Welton he's really kind of raised his hand today and said, I am here for a race. And, I have to kind of laugh in my director sportif debut with the Australian team. And I was trying to both motivate everyone, Dave, but also not put pressure on them because I think, happy, relaxed riders are the ones that perform the best. And I said something in the team meeting that I reflected upon later and thought perhaps I could work on my on my motivational language. And that was that that statistically, at least one of our riders would have crap legs and would have a bad race. And they all looked at me like, jeepers. And then I, followed that up with, but maybe not. And then the next thing I said was that, the only thing they needed to really be prepared for was that it was going to hurt more than any race they'd ever done before. And if they were ready for that, they'd be fine. I also got a few steely looks for that one.
That's funny.
But, I think it is true. If you do turn up prepared that it is going to be horrendous, then sometimes it's okay. But if you turn up thinking, this isn't too bad, then it's quite offensive when you're feeling pretty horrid. And I feel like Welton has turned up and gone, this is going to be horrible. And I'm just going to suffer for 44K. He's more than halfway through. He's got nothing to lose. And he's certainly animating it for OTR.
If you're going through hell, keep going, for God's sake, right? Why stop? And I certainly I love your technique because listen, man, if we're racing at the World Championships here, the eSport Worlds on Zwift, we're all professionals here. You guys know what to expect. This is going to be brutal. So let's rock up and get ready because this is going to be tough. And I know you're up for it. Come on, ladies or guys, as this is going to be, I think the group fanning out like this tells me that like a hungry shark, they're about to take down a big seal right here.
That's you, Welton. You're the seal. If you're listening, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I'm not sure, but it was a sensational ride from him. They are coming back not super fast, though. Look at the bunch. They're kind of blobbing out a bit, making sure they do reel him back in. But they're sort of kind of propping a little. Jeepers is a far too underused exclamation. Well, there you go, James. I am a Jeepers user. I think some people look at me a little bit strangely when I use such vernacular, but I'm pleased it's being, sinking in on this platform. I've found my home, Dave, where my Jeepers are welcome.
Come on. Anybody looks at you strangely, they're out of their minds, Kate. You're a living legend around here. I tell you what. You have developed. I got to turn my attention to the racing. Sorry, Kate. We got a rider attacking with some real authority now. This man has hit out for the prairie. Look at how quickly he has opened up is it 4-second gap, more or less? Wow, Thompson. This is OTR's Thompson right now. I got to say, this is something that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, Michael Thompson has really gone for gold here. They don't have Matt Thompson. They don't have a long way to that next sprint. And at this point, every sprint is really counting more and more. Flanagan is not having any part of it. He is trying to chase with Mo Bigger firmly on his wheel. Thompson will be very unlucky if he gets caught here. I think he might hang on for this. But T-Bone, Bigger, Flanagan, Northway, they are having to use a lot of energy to try and claw this back. This might be closer than we thought. Whoa, he gets it, but only just.
Boy, they close so fast, don't they? I think that the one thing is it's not different than in real life. It's just that watching it from this perspective, Kate, is really different than in real life on how things just change quickly. But man, this is, again, the fight. This is really what makes bike racing so hard, these moments here. As they go incredibly hard for these sprints and then they don't back up. And we got a lot of riders getting their tickets punched right now at the back. I mean, this was front to back there. Ivany too. So
Yeah.
two of the big animators here, Kate. It's like a snake swallowing a rabbit. Boom! Right down and through.
Oh, I will never grow weary of your delightful phrases, Dave. Uh, I was going to say that he blew a foo-foo valve. I think Thompson, he knew that he had to do something to animate it. That was probably a little bit in line with team instruction. Like, come on, guys, let's just leave it all out there. Ivany, again, he's such a solid rider, but he made that massive effort. And when they
Yeah,
are
you
ticking
pay a
along so
price, right?
quickly, ooh, you do pay a price, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That's I talk about the points race. I'm not kidding, Kate. You know very well what it's like to sprint too many times, and then you go to that well the eighth time when you only had 7 sprints in you, and you basically, you're going to need some pickle juice. You're going to be cramping.
Yeah. Pickle, you and your damn pickle juice. But yes, I don't disagree with the pickle juice
It's
and the
funny.
helpfulness
Pickle
at
juice
this
wasn't even
stage.
my thing. I do not want to get pinned as being the pickle juice guy because I was not ask Nathan. I did not start that. Um,
Well, you're
I
backpedaling really
promise you.
quickly here, Dave. I think that just now that you are, Mr. Pickle, you're just not wanting that
Oh,
title.
please.
We'll just have to see if it sticks.
Hey, listen,
Back to the women's Dave.
so Kate, yeah, I was just listening to the Zwift cast, and boy, what an episode they just put up with Simon and GP Llama and Nathan, and they have a nickname for Nathan that isn't even close to his nickname, and same thing with Pickle, not even close to my nickname either. So, anyways, back to the action as we got the ladies down to the last 8.5K. The Hopping Z is still at it. So they're saying on the men's race that Ivany is fighting back, Kate. Ivany is rejoining, possibly. Yes, that is correct. Holy
Wow.
cow.
That
It's
is
like,
a big move from them. It shows a lot of just fight and bravery, doesn't it? Because a lot of gusto to be able to fight back when you kind of go over the limit there and get dropped. It is a bit stop-start is what we're seeing. If we go back to the women, they're coming into this second to last sprint now. There is only one intermediate sprint after this. Joy Connolly once again is hitting out. Megan Alexander, we haven't seen her yet today, and Danny Torelli. So DDC is starting to get
uh-oh.
themselves up there. But
Yep.
Keskinen, oh, she just left it too late, Dave. She should keep going. She should keep going. She had a lot of speed there. She shouldn't waste it. Instead of being under 2 watts per kg, I want to see her at 5 and just flying on with this. Sorry, I don't think she's going to. She's probably thinking, "Stop it! I'm just sprinting." But that would be a pretty dangerous move to do that. They've only got one, just over a lap to go, Dave. So they have another intermediate sprint at the 41K mark before the
She's
finish.
thinking, you do you, Kate. I'll do me.
Yeah.
I think she just missed. You know what? Even Michael Jordan missed a free throw every now and then. I mean, in timing these sprints, it's like Luke Skywalker dropping down into the Death Star. Got to get it just right, right speed, right trajectory, the right follow through, and timing is everything. See how she's in the blue jersey. Watch how she is like a rocket ship, but Joy had it timed out, had it parsed out correctly. So credit to Joy, but obviously Keskinen is a beast.
Keskinen
Even
has just
Robin
been
Hood
sprinting with such
missed.
good power. But she mistimed that, and I think that if she reflects on that, perhaps for that final sprint, if not the next intermediate sprint, but the final one just after that, she may be able to again cross the line in first place because today she's
What if
been the
she
best
used
sprinter
her
that we've
last bullet?
seen on the track.
What if she used her
Well,
last bullet,
I
Kate?
don't know. I just
She
think that was
didn't.
mistiming because she had so
You're right.
much power. It was just the timing of it. But you're right. And if we take it, but look how small the women's field is now. If we take a look over at the fellas, Dave, they have come back together in quite a big group. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster going on a bit of an emotional roller coaster for some of the riders, I imagine, who are dropped and done, and all of a sudden they find themselves back. And I can tell you that some days when you throw it all out there, doing a really good team job, and you get dropped and you're fighting, there is a part of you that when you do start to close that gap and nearly get back on, it's a head game. You have to talk yourself into the fact that if you're back in the race, your day is not over. You actually have to kind of haul your butt up to the front of the bunch and try again. So for Thompson and Ivani, maybe they need to do that, haul their butts to the front of the bunch and do another job for the team.
It's so funny that you say that. I was thinking head game, exactly like you, and that's kind of what a director sportif does, is work on your head game, like a emotional rescue, like the Rolling Stones song, right? But
emotional rescue, yes.
You're right, yeah. But so it looks like Coalition is trying to make something happen out here now. This is the team of Barb Keskinen, the dark blue jersey here. And you can see that they've got a couple riders amassing on the front, but look who else is there. DDC, the orange and blue, ATP moving up now. It's really this battle for second between ATP Racing Vespid and West Coast Coalition, and even include Altavelo in there, as well as the fight for second of the season is now commenced.
Well, this is their last day out in this season, so season 2 of 21-22, and we are in week 8. They have had 7 tremendous weeks of racing so far. A couple of teams' time trials that delivered some slightly different results to what we may have expected based on the points racing, but it remains an incredibly tight race, especially between ATP Racing Vespid, West Coast Coalition B, and the Alto Velo Tunitas. Today they have shown, Dave, I think you were right at the beginning, that DDC is essentially the sideshow for today, because those other 3 teams have been sending riders up to sprint with a whole lot of ferocity for today's race. It's so good when by this point in the season they come down to such tight racing. It just shows the quality of fields that we have here. Despite what we're seeing, though, and DDC not dominating like they have in earlier weeks, we do have to give them big kudos for what they've done. In the men's race, Dave, they're at it again. They're really not content to sit back at all, are they?
Michael Flanagan has been attacking this race since we dropped the flag to start, and we're down to now, let's call it 8K to go for the men. Flanagan is not that far from picking up bonus points, although when I say not that far, what looks like 15, 20 seconds can feel like a lifetime when you're trying to hold off these guys. They start throwing up the orange numbers back there as here comes Van der Veen. Dumper is there. Sabille Foucher having a strong ride out here today. The Canadian Foucher's been amazing. Can Michael Flanagan hold on? But it looks like B. Diddy in the house. Brian Diddy, boom, boom, out go the lights as he picks up another one. And now here we go into the finale.
Ooh.
Last lap comes up very, very quickly. We're down to 1 to go for the season. Oh, Kate, it's all come down to this, but Brian Diddy has been swinging for the fences and been hitting home run after home run out here.
I'm nervous about those power tucks we just saw. Now, this was debated quite a lot amongst people around worlds about the effects on your legs of power tucking mid-race. A lot of people agree that if you stop pedaling, when you start pedaling again, it just wrecks your legs. Like your legs, you lose the momentum.
They flush.
You don't
like
gain
the blood,
much.
The blood
exactly.
clogs.
Yeah. So, I think that if you just slow down your pedaling and use momentum, then sure, you take the pressure off your legs without doing the stop still. But to get that power tuck, and you need to do, or the back pedal. That's a really good idea. But so close to the finish, I would be very careful to stop my legs ticking over, because I would be worried about that. Look at this replay, though. Diddy, he's just getting better. Everybody else is getting fatigued. I feel like Diddy's just warming up. From the first sprint to now this 6th sprint, He's got some solid legs on him today. And we do have quite a big bunch again. This lap hasn't had the same effect. Ivany, look at him go, Dave. This is what I said. When you get dropped, when you get back on, that's when you're like, oof, okay, I better rally because here I go again. Dropping the steamroller, great move from him. I love it when people go from the back to the front.
When you're trying to kill a cobra snake, you had better make sure it's completely dead, or it will come back and kill you. And that is what we're witnessing right now. Ivany, this is phenomenal. He was dropped. He comes back. He sits in the group for a few K, and then he goes back on the offensive. This might go down. What a way to wrap up. This is what this season has been all about. Never give up. I mean, we've learned a long time ago that in order to win, you have to risk losing. But another absolute component to being a champion is heart and never giving up. And Kate, going back to all the advice that you've given us this season, including your advice about don't stop pedaling, I will always say, listen to the real experts, the real pros, and that is you, my friend. So your advice has been awesome for all of us. I will follow it. Women down to 2.5K to go. The guys at about 7K to go.
This is really the pointy end of the race. Now, don't forget, they do have a sprint at the 41K mark. So that's not too far before the finish at all. The women are just about to come over. Yeah. They will come over that sprint line soon. Closer to the 42K mark, actually, because they still need to go up and around. So the women on the right of screen, we're watching them. They've gone past the banner, which they will then go around the Arc de Triomphe at the top and head back toward that sprint. And then the finish is only 2K after. So do you sprint for that last intermediate or do you just hold a good wheel and go for gold at the end? That'll be an interesting one. In the men, Ivany has been caught. I think that we can now say he's done and dusted for the day. He is fighting back, though. He's not just letting them go past him. He's got a lot of heart today. The women's field a little bit smaller, Dave.
Attack again. I'm fully expecting another Ivany attack.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I mean, this has been. Obviously, I'm kidding, but yeah. Oh man, what a race! It's been just brutal out here. I mean, we've been racing on the Champs-Élysées now for we're 41.4K. It's down to this, the nitty gritty. So this is going to be the front group going to the line. Now, Kate made a great point about the fact that there is that sprint that you go through, but now it's all about the finish, as Joy Connolly has hit out, playing her. So she's going to reload, getting rid of that power up because she's hoping to get the steamroller here. And we're down basically to 1K to go. Little more than that. Connolly gets the points. Barb Keskin in second. Barb's been relentless. So is Joy. What a battle. Back to you, Kate Bates.
I think this is Connolly's real chance to just hold on to the wheel of Keskinen. If she can do that, that will serve her very well. Both of them are going to be feeling. But look at this effort from Thompson. She has flown over the top. It is a very early move, but there will be a lot of legs hurting. Already a second, and look at the power differential. She's at 5.4, over 5 watts per kg. Connolly and the Chasers are down near 3.5 or 4, but the gap is not big, Dave. Only 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Laura, good job, Thompson here attacking a tired group, but they're not that tired as this wolf pack is going to bring her back in, hit the reset button. It's going to be Kate Sweater-Tubman now moving up to the front. Let's see who we've got. Ashley Yip is still there. Barb Keskinen is obviously going to be very dangerous here. The way Joy Connolly's been riding, though, I have to look at her as Joy Connolly's sitting there up near the front, and this looks like it's going to be DDC as Alexander is hit out. This is it, Kate. It's finale time. There's the arch. Who's it gonna be? And I think it's Ashley Yip. And it is Ashley Yip for the win. What a way to wrap up the season for the women. Ashley Yip says, boom, boom, out go the lights here in Paris.
She is our absolute pocket rocket. I've loved what she's done this year, this season for
Such a great job.
the sprinting. And it's great also that DDC didn't do a whole lot in that race, but
She let the other riders
she
sprint
saved
their
it to
legs
the
out,
end.
Kate.
Yeah,
So, Kate, she
yeah,
did let them
and
sprint themselves into the corner.
yeah. And I think it's also it's great for them that even though they weren't the dominant team across every intermediate sprint like they have been in some of the others, they have been the dominant team for the season, and they did finish it off on a high for Yip. That was really, really well deserved. It'll be very interesting to see that point roundup at the end, Dave, to see who ends up coming in second and third on that table. Now, as the men come in, we have to remember there is a single point that stands between the Dirty Rascals Riot and OMG, they killed Kenny.
Wow.
It is very hard to know at this point
spot.
who is ahead on the overall points. We will find that out, if not immediately after the race. Certainly Martin and the fellas at WTRL will get that info out. There will be a lot of people really hanging on to find out how that all shapes. What we will see, though, who is first across the line, and that is not far away. Just like the women, they will have an intermediate sprint after they go around the Arc de Triomphe here. And then 2 kilometres later, it is the
Flanagan
finish.
again, Kate.
Dave,
Flanagan attacking again.
We saw what happened when they went early in the women. It did not work out very well for that finish. So Flanagan, very, very brave move for him. And actually, a couple of seconds opening up, but we're starting to see some orange in that chasing bunch. I think this will be a short-lived attack, Dave. I think Flanagan has been brave, and fortune favours the brave, but I think they'll get him.
Well, does it get him the bonus, though? It just might, Kate. I think he sneaks through. Now, obviously, they're going to swarm him now. He did, though. He picked up the bonus, but now there goes, oh, my God, they killed Kenny. So the counterattack after that sprint, you talked about what a vulnerable moment this was. Oh, Kate, it's all on the line now. So this is it. It's noteworthy that, oh, my God, they killed Kenny does not have one of their stronger riders from the season, Philippe Nystrom, here. So this is a moment for, oh, look at this. Oh, my God, they killed Kenny attacking over the top with Mo Bega. It's down to about 500 meters to go, and this is going to be dangerous. Back to you, Kate.
Where is T-Bone? Where is Dan Pedrosa? They are the big names we are looking for from OMG. Mo Bega has put them in a perfect position. The drop of the power up with the steamroller, this could get it for him because that is a massive advantage on these cobbled sprints.
Here comes
Is he going to hold on? Woo opens up. But who's on his wheel? Diddy is there. But where is T-Bone and where is Dan Pedrosa?
So, okay, Diddy's going to win it. No doubt about that. Now we're looking for the battle. And it's going to be, oh, boy, that's big. Oh, my God, they killed Kenny, put 2 through. So forgetting about Diddy winning, they take second and third, which means it's pretty good for them as far as taking the top spot. Only one team advances into the playoffs. It's going to be one of those two. Oh, my goodness. So,
well, you know, I was certainly expecting the rush to come. I hate to say it, I feel like a broken record, Dave, but I feel like the timing was a bit off for Dan Pedrosa. We know what he's capable of in the sprints, and to be coming so fast and have so much gusto at the end, I can't help but think, what if he just hit out a little bit earlier? Now, we say that without the context of knowing exactly where they came from, but big ups to Mo Bega from OMG for dropping that power up. He gave himself every opportunity to stay away. Wu, in hindsight, probably went a little bit early with his power up because he looked good. Power up ran out. Diddy flew past him. Now, where are the others? And Dave, when Diddy went, look at the speed of Pedrosa.
T-Bone.
When Diddy went, what was Pedrosa doing? What were T-Bone doing? They had such a huge gap close. Nathan, I'm going to see if we can wind this back to the moment that Diddy went and see where those OMG riders were and why they didn't respond immediately.
So Diddy's making 15 watts right there, and up to almost 17 watts. And I mean, is it just that they can't match that insane power? I mean, I guess so, right? I mean,
I think they just missed the boat there.
Because they do it a little bit later, don't they? Yeah. So
let's take a look at.
We can watch Pedrosa's talking about Pedrosa.
That is a good way to look at it. But I don't think that Pedrosa.
Fortune favors the brave.
Yeah, I don't think they had really great positioning, and counter that with the fact that Diddy has really impressive acceleration. I think that they just learned a lesson there that next time they absolutely need to be a little bit further forward when someone like Diddy is already sitting forward to accelerate. And again, dropping the feather to accelerate. We've spoken about this many times, Dave, that when you drop a feather, when you are sprinting and accelerating, it just projects you forward. A lot of people would never use a feather to sprint, but I've always maintained that it's a really, really effective way to get that acceleration better. And that's why his numbers look so giant. Everybody else is around 10, 11. He's around 14, 15 because he's lost a whole lot of weight there by using the feather. Now, when that drops off, look at how quickly they're coming back. So a well-timed power-up drop from Diddy and a very well-earned win. And OMG, well, they will have accrued a whole lot of points for that overall, which, considering that 1 point differential, could make the difference, couldn't it?
Yeah, it certainly could. Boy, some really good points there, Kate. One of them that I completely agree with that I never really thought about was, having the feather, it seems like it's only going to be good on the climbs, but wouldn't you like to improve your watts per kilogram in a sprint? Because lowering your weight by 10% is going to do that significantly for you. So obviously, but Brian Diddy also has won so many sprints. He's such a proven commodity, Kate. A lot to take in there. What a great way to wrap up the season. Ashley Yip winning for the women. And on the men's side of things, Brian Diddy, who's been a great community member as well. I'm a big fan of both of our winners here today, and all of our racers. It's been a great season out here. And boy, did Barb Kaskinen race her heart out today for Coalition. Always go to WTRL.racing for results. WTRL.racing has got all kinds of info. If you want to race, they announced information about season 3 coming up for the community. That's going to be starting on April 5th. So if you'd like to get your team together, all the information you need is there. If you're already looking for results from today, it's all there as well. And Kate, I'll throw it back to you for today's men's mixed D1As.
All righty, Brian Diddy, thank you for that spectacular performance today. Not just the final sprint, but all of them. Well-deserved win from TFC Scorpion. Second and third from OMG, they killed Kenny, is Dan Pedrosa and Travis Frazier. T-Bone, he's our T-Bone.
Yep.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay. Good job, and I love your name change, Travis. Ben Nordstrom, he came in fourth for the Dirty Rascals Rampage. Now, our first Dirty Rascals Riot rider is John Van Der Veen. Now, remembering that they were 1 point ahead of OMG, they killed Kenny at the beginning of the day. This is not looking so good for them for that overall table. So let's see how those league standings shake up. Stephen Wu was in 6th for AAF Troposphere. In 7th, we had Andrew Tanganen for On the Rivet Haze. In 8th, we've got Lou McGranagan, great name. OMG, they killed Kenny. In 9th, we've got Graham Hill from On the Rivet Rush. And in 10th, we've got Trev Daddy from TFC Scorpion. Trev Daddy, I like that too. We've got some fun names tonight.
It's a fun group. It really is. Ashley Yip, you're my hero. Dutch Diesel Cycling Zena picking up the win. For Canada, it was a great day. I'm sorry, I've been saying Barb. It's Brittany. Brittany, my apologies. Brittany Keskinen. Yeah, I feel terrible now. I think I did that 25 times. Kate.
Oh,
West Coast
that's okay.
Coalition
I mean,
rider.
I rename everybody to suit my sense of humor, so I think everybody's used to that by
Yeah,
now, so I wouldn't worry.
yeah. Well, that's my sense of humor there, Brittany.
Yeah.
Not that funny. But hey, you're a star for sure, and I was super impressed. So I'm sure we'll cross paths again. Megan Alexander from Australia for Dutch Diesel Cycling Zena was third. Kate Young-Nickel was fourth today for Alta Velatunitas. They actually had Sue Lynn Holt in fifth. Good job, ladies. Joy Connolly, Sprinting Monster, ATP Racing Vespid in sixth. Leanne LeBlond for West Coast Coalition B, finishing seventh today. Eighth for Laura Thompson, from also Canadian, as is Leanne. It's Eleanor Tubman out of the United Kingdom for Cadence in ninth, and then Jennifer Steele for Alto Velatunitas. That's your top 10 for the women Bs.
Alrighty. Well, what a season of racing we have had, Dave. I have absolutely loved to get to know a lot of these community riders a little bit better. The one thing I've really loved the most, though, is riders contacting us and sharing a little bit of their stories, because having the ability to shine a light on more of the community members, I think is just an absolute pleasure for us. Before we do go, we will be back soon with the next season. We still have the playoffs. But a very big thank you to the production crew. Martin from WTRL, this wouldn't happen without you. Thank you very much. And of course to Nathan, who is behind a lot of the production. And he does all the commentary. And Dave, even in APAC with Anna and I, when he was meant to be asleep, he was watching on YouTube and commenting. So I don't think he believes in sleep. And Dave, an absolute pleasure to work with you. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing all of our community members active on Zwift and back next season. And Dave, enjoy a trip to Florida, I believe, is coming up for you.
Thank you.
For a few events. And we'll see you back here soon.
Kate, thanks so much. Take care, everyone.